So sometimes, to be frank with you, the way we want to manage football, and almost all Ghanaians become coaches, become managers, you know, it's not like sitting here. Everybody will criticize you because you are doing a show. Everybody criticizes you, but it's different this way. Is it not a difficult terrain they find themselves? When Anas gave us sort of a clean slate to begin to repair the damage, I was privileged to, you know, chair the disciplinary committee. I had the opportunity invited to return to it, but I declined. I'll tell you, I didn't decline because I didn't think I could give my services there. But even some of the decisions you take, the kind of things you meet when you are done with your meetings, the teams and their leaders, it can be dangerous for your own life.
Something I agree with you, and your experience that you are just saying. I remember some years back when I used to be the secretary to the appeals committee, then chaired by the retired Chief Justice Bawa.
Yeah.
I remember you will finish, Bawa will bring his report for you to finally put them together. You see calls, and so I can appreciate the challenges that you, if you really want to work with proper structures, the challenges you have. But you see, something. Let me tell you one thing. If you have and I'm just going based on your analogy, if you have a situation where, for the last decade, I was just looking at the data, for the last decade, you have moved in terms of FIFA ranking. There are parameters they use in ranking the quality of your team. You move from 24th to 73rd in 10 years. And you've been declining, apart from a few ones that there has just been a change, some flashes, maybe from 37th to 33rd and other, but you've declined from 24th to 73rd. So it tells you very clearly that there's a problem that has to be dealt with. It goes beyond just whether the coach is good or the coach is not good. You see, I happen to have gone to a particular school, for example, in St. Charles. I remember those times when we used to be there. All the masters that we had were people who were there to rewrite their A-levels because they had challenges. They were old students who may have written and maybe one paper was not good, another paper was not good. But during those periods, the late 90s, thereabout, results, why? St. Charles was one of the best in the North. The reason was because you had administrators who could supervise these people to really be able to teach you to pass an exam. Mm-hmm. And so it just goes beyond the person, the final person who gives you the instructions to go and execute a duty. It has to do with a lot of things. One, let's look. Over the years, I mean, sometimes we just need to look at our experience. Over the years, we have situations where our national teams have been about 80% from our youth teams. You do not have a situation where a national team coach has a luxury, apart from major tournaments, that he can have about a month or 3 weeks to train players. Usually he calls players, and within 3-4 days, he has to play a match. And so you do not have an opportunity to really bring them and impact your instructions and other things for them to play, because they are coming from different countries, different coaches who have different ways of training them. But when you have a consistent build-up, from your under 17, if you saw your under 12, under 16, under 17, under 20, under 23, before they come into the national team, you have a situation where they have played with themselves over a period of time. Next question you have to ask, how come that our youth teams have all collapsed? Those days, we used to say, look, even the last team that was performing very well, the Dedeaye's group that finally ended up winning the under 20 in Egypt or somewhere thereabout. They formed the baseline, the spine of the team that going forward. Look at the current team now. You don't have that. So that is one challenge that our teams from the youth levels have all collapsed. Why have they collapsed? Part of it has to do with the administration. Two, I think that in GFA, there's so much conflict of interest. And that the GFA laws itself will have to be looked again. The current laws as it stands says that to be able to even be part of the GFA management team, like the GFA to be elected, you must have been either a club man or a club owner. It's part of the tender you have. So you even see that people are affiliated to clubs. Now, these same people are also, because, look, for many years, our clubs have been run from the domestic pockets of individuals. People use their own monies to run teams, clubs. So assuming that he's an owner of a club, and he finds his way of becoming a GFA person, he's sitting down there, he knows that his dividends will only come when he has an opportunity to sell a player outside the country. He can only sell a player outside the country if he is showcased in a national team that plays in an international platform. So he comes. and whether the person is merit of that particular invitation or not. There's always this tendency to see how you can push your own club. And then we have had instances where coaches have been indicating that, look, people have been pushing and forcing players to be selected into the national. So in terms of merit, as to whether that happens is another issue. And I think consistency in terms of the coach. I am one person, and when I was outside, I was telling Sadiq that I'll be the last person to say that they should sack Otuado. Because you can sack Otuado and go and bring Pep. Ask me. If we do not resolve these petty issues, changing the GFA structures to ensure that you let competent people who can run clubs, who can run football administration, who are interested in these things, who have the technical know-how, to present themselves for elections, not necessarily being an owner of a club. 2, ensure that you have our youth teams being built. And these youth teams can be built if we also have very good infrastructure to start training them from the grassroots. Those days we used to have this Winneba Sports College, where the students were actually brought there. They were attending GSS and other things in Winneba there whilst being trained. And these were people who progressed into various clubs. Why can't we revisit that? And so again, it comes back to, in terms of our investment into sports infrastructure, particularly football infrastructure, how on earth that can we, as a country like Ghana, that for the Kwame Nkrumah's country, that at one point we were even debating the fact that there was a possibility that we were going to play our home matches outside the country because we did not have proper pitches for our players to be able to play in those particular places. So I'll leave that to the experts, but I think that the problem goes beyond just the technical team and what do you call it, and but you see, maybe when you are talking about fire, you're waiting for the GFA, what do you call it, technical, the coach to bring his report for you people to make an assessment on Wednesday. So the first thing that came to my mind was that you have a management team that manages this national team. This management team, they basically will have to give you a report that goes from health to other things to this to be able to take a decision. Even before you go for that meeting, you fire that management team. And then you go and say that you are waiting for a report from the coach to be able to take a decision. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you that you can do a bit more, but you can do a bit better with I mean, these days, management of football is science, isn't it? And it's data. And so you can do better than you are doing.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Eddie. So, Henry, this issue they bring in about, and Sadiq began to raise it, about the conflict of interest situations which lead to